wants to book an hotel, and still this booking application able to serve all these people. So let's just talk about a scenario. Suppose this user one comes to this website and wants to book a air ticket. Okay, he wants to book an air ticket from New Delhi to New York City on this particular date with this number of passengers. Now, what this booking engine is going to do about is it will send this information to different vendors. These vendors are nothing but different airline websites. Okay, and whichever the vendor has the availability for this particular information, has the availability from flight from New Delhi to New York City on this particular date with this number of passengers, will send back some information to the booking engine. It will inform it that they have the availability. Suppose vendor 2 has the availability and also vendor 4 has the availability. So again they will send some information back, and that information will look like this. Okay, now we got an extra piece of information, that is the price. So what happened right here is the work of an underlying API. There is an underlying API present under this booking engine, and same goes for the airline website. Irrespective of the language the website is written in, suppose this language is written in the .NET and it's in the PHP, still they are able to communicating because there is an underlying API that's doing the communication for them. And the information that went from the side of booking engine to the vendors is your request, whereas the information that came from the different vendor side to this booking engine booking website is your response. Okay, this request is built by the API, this response is built by the API. All this communication has happened due to API. And also this misconception here that the web service and the API both are the same things. Like you can say the underlying API or the underlying web service. Okay. If I talk about more example of API, there are lots of API present over the internet, right? So if I this is a very popular website in India here called booking.com. Okay, so on this particular website, you can book your hotel, you can book your flights. Again, this website is fetching information. Suppose I select, I want to travel from Chandigarh to, let's say, New Delhi. Okay, or let's say the New York. I select a date. I select the number of passengers here. Okay, and I'll click on search. Now again, this will fetch all the result from different airline website. The same scenario that I'll talk about it, almost every booking website works like this. And second thing is that, it's the API calling is not just limited to this. You must have noticed that there are multiple websites present over the internet, that now you don't really have to sign up on that website. Like if I open a website, like if I open twitter.com, on this particular website, you don't really, if you don't have a new account, if you are a new user, you don't really have to create a new account, again pass your information. If you have already existing account with Gmail or let's say Facebook, you can use that account. Okay, again this is possible because Google shared their API, their login API with the Twitter. Facebook shared their login API with the Twitter. Okay. So all the communication between two totally different website on totally different platform is possible due to this API or the web services. Okay, now question arises here is how this web services actually work. We got that point that one website is in different language, other is different language, but still how it's able to communicate. Okay. Uh, Madhu, are you able to get it? What I'm just trying to explain you.
Yeah, I completely get it. Yeah.
Okay. If, I know this lecture is much more about theoretical, right? Because I didn't really know about it, that you are very much aware about the API. With
No,
the
no,
coming up
it will
lectures,
be over. We also. This is good actually. You can go ahead.
okay, thank you, thank you. All right. So I was talking about the communication. Okay, there is an underlying API. So let's just try to understand from this example. So suppose the same scenario I was talking about, there is this application that is written in Java. There is another application that is written in the PHP, and they wants to communicate with each other. So obviously an API will be created. An API, there will be an API on the Java application side that will send a request, and the same API, not the same API, a totally different API that is on the PHP application will send back a response. So actually, these applications are not communicating, but the underlying APIs are getting communicated. Okay, but what the problem arises here is that this information that is going back and through, is it secure or is it encrypted? Because there will be some scenarios that you will see that two banking applications are communicating. Okay, so a critical user information, like the user account information, or so many critical information is getting passed. So we need a security layer. We need a kind of encryption. And besides that, irrespective of the kind of these applications are, they should able to understand it. So that means what, in whichever format the request goes, in that same format response should come. If request is in the format of XML, I'll come to that, what is an XML, then response should be in the form of XML. Now this this particular things, that the two things that I mentioned are known as our secure flow as well as the systematic flow. So by the systematic flow, we mean that request and response should be in the same format. If the request is in the format of XML, response should be in the format of XML. If request is in the format of JSON, response should be in this format of JSON. And this request that is going, this response that is coming back should be encrypted, should be secure, because lots of time a critical information is getting exchanged between two parties. And now these two things can be maintained either using a SOAP protocol or a REST architecture. Our SOAP protocol is basically based on XML. That means your request and response format will be the XML, will be written in the XML. Whereas REST is 90% based on JSON. There are APIs we'll see the XML based that are following XML based REST. A reason behind this is, I'll tell you again. We'll take an example, then we'll evaluate it. That why JSON is much more popular. Okay, so for the same example that I took for this booking engine, I'll show you that this request how actually looks in the XML format. Okay, here we go. So you see, this is the request that we have sent, that a user wants to travel from New Delhi to New York City on this particular date. Okay, with this number of passenger. But if I right click over here, okay, so if I right click over here and open it here, so this is how your actually the request XML looks like. There are some tags present here, right? Every tag that is starting is getting an end tag, right? This body tag is starting here, it's ending here. And all this information that you want to pass, that the booking engine that is passing to the different vendors, are again comes under this tags. This from tag is starting, this from tag is ending. The information resides between the tags. Okay, and even this is a very plain XML. Uh, if I talk about an XML that is based on SOAP protocol, a SOAP based API, even has more tags like the SOAP envelope, SOAP header tag. So all you have. and these are mandatory. Like every request that you are building up, it should be in the same format. It should contain the soap body, should be under the soap envelope tag. So all this information you have to pass with your actual information while making a request. And same goes for the response. If I'll open the response XML, you will see that it will be in the same format with the extra piece of information, like the response included the price also. So there will be an extra tag price that has the price that the user have to pay. Now, if I take that same example, suppose the underlying API is not based on SOAP but based on REST. So it will be based on JSON then, right? If I show you that same request, how it looks like in JSON, here it is. You see, there are no extra tags. You don't have to start any tag, end any tag. Every information is not deciding. It's a plain piece that anybody can understand. Everything within JSON, everything comes in the form of key and value pair. Okay, like right now, right here, from is your key. New Delhi is its value. 2 is the key, NYC is the value. Okay, you don't have to pass anything besides this, right? No extra tags. You don't have to remember any sort of mandatory information that you have to pass. Your request body will only include the user information, right? And that too in the form of key and value pair. Okay, so that's the one of the reason that why JSON is much more popular, because it's to the point, right? Same way, this is how the request JSON looks like. Same way, this is how the response JSON looks like. All the information that user sent with an extra piece of information, right? So this is how your difference among your SOAP-based API or a REST-based API. SOAP-based API uses the XML, whereas the REST-based API uses the JSON. Okay, REST-based APIs also support XML, but most of the times, or 10% of times you're going to see the uh, JSON being used. Okay, so this is what we have covered so far. That what is an API, what is a web service, what is XML, JSON, REST, and the SOAP protocol. Okay, this is fine. Now the next thing here is till here it's clear, Madhu.
Yeah, it's clear. Okay.
Okay, so till here we discussed about what is an API and what can be different type of API. It can be a SOAP based, it can be a REST based. There was one more thing that I was talking about. So about the encryption. So both of these APIs, SOAP protocol and the REST architecture, have some, like in the SOAP protocol, as it's a protocol. So there are some sort of steps that it always follow while building up a request, or while building up a response. So that's why it's much more secure. Same goes for the REST architecture. It still has its the request and response are encrypted, right? But it doesn't have a solid set of rules that you have to follow. Okay, like REST is much more flexible when you're working with, whereas in the SOAP, as it's a protocol, you have to follow all those rules. So that's why REST is preferred. But both of these uh, SOAP based on the REST based API follows the secure and the systematic flow that is required for the right working of the communication. Okay, so this is about the very basic of API web services. Now I'll talk about tools. There are different tools that are present, that are being used to test these services. And before rest assured, there was this one very popular tool, that is the SOAP UI. So lots of people ask this question, why not SOAP UI? So first thing here is, there are two versions of SOAP UI that are present. Okay, one is the free version. Okay, and another one is the paid version that is known as the Ready API. Okay, so the problem with the SOAP UI is that SOAP UI is fine. We can create within the SOAP UI, we can create different test cases. We can put the assertions, right? We can even run them parallelly or do the batch running. But the problem here with the SOAP UI free version is that we can't really use the TestNG framework. We can't generate the third-party reports. We are just limited to the HTML reports with the free version. And if you want to use the the TestNG framework, or you want to generate some other kind of report like the extent report, so you have to be work with the Ready API, and that Ready API comes with a subscription. So you have to pay for that. So that's why, and that all those work within the rest assured can be done, and rest assured are open libraries, so you can generate the extent reports with it. You can even do the xlx reading, writing, and creating all the data utility files within the TestNG framework, configuration with the ant and jenkins. So all it can be done within the SOAP UI, and we don't have to pay any subscription fee. One thing more, within the free version of SOAP UI, there are lots of workaround uh, by using those. You can have your test cases within the SOAP UI, and can run it from the Eclipse itself. But still, that's a kind of process that you have to follow. Whereas in the rest assured, it's again, the rest assured libraries are based on Java, so you can directly, just add those library to your project, and you're ready to go with it. Okay. I hope you're able to get it, and you must have worked with the SOAP UI, I believe.
Yeah. So POA I work, but not much.
Okay, so like you manually you have worked, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just for
Okay.
request and response for the testing
Yeah,
purposes.
yeah, yeah. So, with the free version itself, so you must have worked with the free version. So it's easy, for the manual work, it's easy. But when you want to do the automation, you can't really do with the free version itself. Either you need the ready API, or you have to integrate the SOAP free version with the Eclipse. Like your test cases will be present in the. Okay, I'll just try to explain you here. So what happens with the free version when we want to do the automation with that? Okay, suppose this is the SOAP UI. Okay, so here it is, your SOAP UI, and suppose all your test cases are present here. So as in the free version, you can't use the TestNG framework. So you are just limited to this. But with the different workarounds, suppose this is the Eclipse, you can actually have your test cases within the SOAP UI itself, but you can run all these from the Eclipse, and that too using the TestNG framework. Okay, and again, from like you have now have the Eclipse, you can have your data from the database, or an xlx file wherever your data is coming. Suppose this is your Excel file, and this is your DB. So all this information can come from here, right? And goes to this test will run, and the result will get passed here. Okay, but now again we are adding an extra step here. Like the test cases are present here, and then we are running it from the Eclipse. It is possible through the workarounds, but within the rest assured, we don't need SOAP or any other tool. Using the rest assured libraries, I can actually have my all my test cases right here. Okay, within the Eclipse itself. So all my test cases will be present here, and I can directly run it. Okay, so that's why rest assured is getting very popular, and these libraries are very powerful. When you're in Eclipse, like we are going to use so many third-party libraries. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there are so many very popular third-party libraries, like the ham crust matchers, so, which helps in asserting a response very well. So, and by the point of view of the automation itself, we are going to use the Maven project, so it will be really easier for us compared to the SOAP UI. All what we'll do with the rest assured, it can be done with the SOAP UI. There's no doubt about it, but it's the more better and the efficient way of doing it.
Okay, the rest assured basically Okay, rest assured, right? So it will be like a jar. We'll pull it into like Selenium jar. We are pulling, and then we are just using as the dependencies, right? Similarly, we are also pulling the jars from the rest assured, and then we are just going to use that, right?
Yeah, what you said earlier, you said about SOAP UI, right?
No, no, no. This one is like rest assured.
Yeah, yeah. For the rest assured, yeah, we are going to work with the Maven projects. We'll add the rest assured dependencies to our project. Yeah, obviously that's the jar will be added and we'll start working. Whereas, the SOAP UI was why I'm emphasizing on the SOAP UI so much is that SOAP UI was also very popular tool. But if you are not working with the Ready API, giving that heavy subscription fee, if you're working with a free version, there are lots of things that you have to do in order to use this test ng or integrating different jars within it. So that's why rest assured is preferred. Okay.
Rest
So
assured
next
is
is,
completely open source, right?
yeah, it's completely open source. Okay. So how to begin with the rest assured? In the coming up lecture, I'm not uh, going to directly jump to the rest assured like I said you. First, we'll work with the Java basics that we need for the rest assured. And before that, we'll see actually how an API works, how different HTTP method works, and what's the different among these. For that, initially, we'll use the Postman. So you must be aware about it. There's this website called getpostman.com. Over this, you can download the free version. We just going to see how the API call works, and we'll install the student application. For a link for the student application, you will get the download section from the website. Have you downloaded the code from the website?
Not yet, actually.
Okay, okay. So for this application, so I suggest you to get it ready because at a point we are going to need it. Okay, so when you'll open the website, I'm pretty sure that you have saw it. Okay, so here's the download code section. All the codes has been separated in the different modules folder. So in the second module folder, you're going to get the student application, and after getting the student application, here is the application. It's just a jar file that you have to run in the CMD. Okay, so okay, I won't go there right now. So you have to just run this jar, and the application will start. It will run locally on your system.
Sure.
Okay, and this application has some basic information like you can get the data of all the students that are present. You can add a new student. You can update a student's information. You can delete a student. So all the basic operations we can do with this applications. Okay, so I'll show you this, but not in this lecture. In the coming up lecture, actually I'm not on my system because due to the time conflict.
Okay,
So
sure.
yeah, I'm very limited with the resources right now. Okay, so with the next lecture itself, I know it's much more of the theoretical because it's based on for a totally beginner, but like lots of thing already. So in the next lecture itself, we'll see how the different HTTP method works.
Hmm.
We are going to talk about some other method that are especially for the rest assured present, like the patch method. You work with the patch request.
No.
Yeah. So you must have heard about like you said, the get, post, put, and
Yeah,
delete,
yeah.
right?
All CRUD operations I work.
Yeah, CRUD options. So these are also the CRUD. Some have these are the HTTP method which has some additional functionalities over the CRUD operations. Like there is this patch method which is very popular with the REST assured. Like with the put, if you're updating a JSON, you have to send back the whole JSON again. But with
Hmm.
the patch, you can just change a single value. Like
Oh,
like
it's
here,
like one key I can
yeah,
change.
yeah,
One key
yeah.
in there. Okay.
Like in this JSON with the put, I have to send back the whole JSON. If I just want to change the date, right? If I
Hmm.
want to make the 19, so I'll make the change here and send back the whole pack. But with the patch, you just have to, give this one key in value that you want to change, and the change will reflect. So there are other HTTP options also. All of these will see. Okay, so initially, I'll just manually show you how the student application API works, how
Mhm.
different HTTP method works. Then first we'll go for the Java for a week, and then we'll start with the automation with the rest assured. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Now again, any doubt, any suggestion that you have. Right now, again, I'm not on my system, so I'm very limited with the resources. So we're done with the student app part right here, but we'll start with tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's good actually. Today I think it's enough. Maybe for me also it's very late, 10 p.m. So I think it should
Okay.
be
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll see you tomorrow at 8, right?
Yeah, yeah, 8 a.m. 8 p.m. for my time.
Yeah. Yeah. For your time, 8 p.m.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then take care. See you.
Thanks, Edmund. Yeah, see you.
No problem. Bye bye.